It seems as though I have ruffled some fucking feathers. Good. Because here's story time, part 2. Full Scorched Earth, Family Edition. And for legal reasons, I will say allegedly. Allegedly this happened. I have proof. But allegedly. Allegedly. What I want to talk about now is a little bit of a backstory. Just to how the fuck we got here. The one thing you should know about my dad, and even though he did not raise me, one thing was very evident. He never wanted to be alone, and whatever woman he was with is who he was. Like anything they wanted, anything they needed, they got. That's it. And always, fuck them kids. Yay! Sorry, R.I.P. Paddy. But facts when we were growing up. Back. This particular basement dweller actually dated my father a few years back. And it didn't work out, and she mailed the house key to my father. That was probably sometime around like 2009, 2010. Like, she was over it. She was done. Here's your key. Go have your life, right? Wrong. See, because the problem is, she did this to another family. Yep, that's right. She full on in a cold somebody's dad. And they got sick of her shit and booted her the fuck out before she could get everything. Oh, she tried so hard. Bless that fucking family. Having to deal with that shit. And then there's just some time in between. And again, I don't live in Michigan. My dad kind of went through some other people he dated after his third divorce. Like I said, my dad loved women and loved the women he was with. And after a while, every single woman that he was with from the time he dated until the time that he left this earth, every single one cheated on. I can't think of one that didn't. Those were mostly his wives, but my mom too, but she was never married to him. My mom was just a straight up whore. Thanks, Mom! Like I said, that family booted her, and everything just seemed copacetic. Until my father opened his fucking mouth, and she came back. And you're thinking, what did he say to bring her back? Oh, I don't know. That he just inherited a shit ton of money. That was also the problem with my father. Just like me, couldn't keep his fucking mouth shut. And he was lonely, and he'd had a stroke. My father had a stroke back in 2016, excuse me. It was 2016 that my father had a stroke. How do I know this? It was my husband's birthday, and the next day was my IUI at the fertility clinic, which happened to make my only child after 16 years. So sometime between 2016, end of 2015, up until current, this was his woman. Like I said, he told her how much money he got, and she went, oh, I'm gonna renovate your home for us. Knowing the motherfucker had a stroke, knowing that he smoked all of his life until he did, knowing my father would never tell her no, especially after his stroke. And that's a whole elder abuse thing we're gonna get into. So she moved the fuck back in, but she started redoing the house to fit her needs, which is weird because it appears to be some pretty big loans that were taken out against the house, even though the money was there. Seems a little weird. And I guess they redid like the bathroom and like the front porch and like the deck, and like she made her whole fucking apartment in the basement. Oh, but they redid the living room too. They weren't quite done with the kitchen or were in the process. So after my stroke, my aunt took care of my dad for a little while and then just got too much. So the basement doll was like, don't worry, I got this. Don't worry, I'll always take care of him. Said no one ever. When my dad did inherit money from his late uncle, right? His I believe it was my grandfather's brother, right? But it was also his wife. He did 100% give me 10 grand right after my son was born. And thank God he did, because we were in NICU for over 70 fucking days, and every single dime we used was to get there, to get home, to get what we needed, to eat, to just do whatever we were going to do to make sure we could get back to a fucking special needs NICU for 79 days. And then when we brought him home, there were things that we needed. So hell yes, we used that. Spoiler, that is the most money my father has ever given me in any shape or form. Again, my dad was very weird about money, but he was very generous to any woman that he was with. So my dad had a woman living in the basement of a house that she was renovating, and my dad was upstairs in his own bedroom. I should preface by saying this now. My father was a hoarder. He never threw anything away. Never. That's going to come into play a little bit later. You'll see. So we've got a woman who has made an entire apartment out of a basement. And granted, this is a huge basement. It's like a ranch style house, and the whole basement is the entire size of the house. So yeah, she completely redid it for herself. Made out a whole like workbench area because she's an artist. Okay. And again, left my dad upstairs. But then things started to get a little bit hairy over the past couple of years. See, my dad kept his house, right? He lived in his house. He actually bought out his ex-wife for the house. And she was like, yep, that was my last stepmom, because this woman was nothing to do with my family. Although, spoiler, a couple years before that, when she was dating my dad for the first time, one of my, we're going to call her bonus sisters because stepsister just sounds weird. They got into like a physical altercation, like screaming match at my dad's house, because she looked directly at my bonus sister and said, John, you need to take care of your girls, implying that my two other sisters were not his girls. And woo, the shit went flying. And again, I'm going to keep that in mind for you later. Make sure you take care of your girls. But again, let's fast forward kind of the current present. My dad was left alone a lot and never really left the house. And she would come and go randomly because she was taking care of his or her father. She wasn't taking care of mine. That would be my sister. My sister's a fucking saint. I love my sister, but she lives far away, and the whole tragedy of my father's death has just made me push everybody away intentionally. There are still some good people in my family. Some. But it was my sister. My sister was the one who took care of my dad. In fact, my sister was the one who was listed on the will until she and my dad got into a fight, apparently about something dumb. And then she went on vacation. And while she was on vacation, don't you know, another will was drawn up. Problem is, that's not my father's signature. Problem is, my dad had a shady fucking lawyer and notary. How do I know? I fucking talked to them. And they were so pro this bitch. I just kept everything. My sister did not know that my father had changed his will and that everything was on the up and up, but none of that matches his fucking handwriting, especially after his stroke. But remember, his girlfriend is an artist. In fact, she's a graphic artist. I guess girlfriend. Whatever the fuck my father considered her. So the will got changed. None of us knew it. And when we called my dad's lawyer just to say, hey, what are his final wishes? Oh, they went frozen real quick. And that's why. Because they knew goddamn well that wasn't my father's signature. And if it was under duress. Elder abuse. And yes, I have copies. Stay tuned, kiddos. This is just the beginning. She's only heating up from here. And to my haters, keep fucking watching. Because it's about to hit the fucking fan.